Hello, and welcome to the Street Aesthete channel. Today we're playing Geoguessr Battle Royale Distance, and as usual in this series, we are going to be playing without moving, while our opponents have the advantage of being able to move around in the coverage to find more clues. I'm hoping we can take a victory here in this game. If you enjoy the music that you hear in the background of this video, then do take a look at my first channel, linked in the description, which is where I upload all of my original music. And we've not got too many players here in this game, only 5, so 4 competitors, and it looks as though we're in New Zealand here. We're driving on the left. The scenery looks almost like Great Britain, but we can see that the sun is in the north, which puts us in the southern hemisphere, and yeah, everything about this is feeling very much like New Zealand. I'd be very surprised if it were Australia. It looks far too temperate for that, though of course there are temperate areas in the southern parts of Australia. And do I think that we're on the North or the South Island? I think it could be either this region around Hamilton, or more likely I'm thinking down by Dunedin here in the South Island. And it looks like a good guess. We're certainly a lot closer than the next placed player. And it was indeed New Zealand, but actually a bit further north on the South Island, not far from Christchurch. We had 2 guesses in Australia, 1 in the US and 1 in Russia. Only really, I would say, the Australian guess makes any sense, what with driving on the left. And here we are with around in, I would say probably Africa, going by the red dirt that we can see here, and the architecture, colourful. As for which country, I want to get a read on the sun, which is in the north, which puts us in the southern hemisphere. Is there any chance this could be Brazil though? That's the only thing giving me pause for thought, but no, I think with all these walls around the properties, south of Africa is looking correct, and in which case I'm maybe going to put us nearer to Eswatini where there's redder soil. Let's try it out. Okay, not a particularly good guess. I think we're going to switch it up to Brazil here, and that is much better. Yep, picked up the wrong idea initially with South Africa. It was the state of Mato Grosso do Sul in Brazil. So it wasn't too far off there with Minas Gerais. We had a guess in Bolivia, also making sense for the red soil, and a couple, I think, in Colombia. We're in Spanish-speaking America now. We've got the roof rack on the car, so that definitely narrows it down to only a few countries that it could be. One of them being Guatemala, but I don't think that makes sense in this case. I think we're probably on the island of Hispaniola in the Dominican Republic. And we'll try putting a guess, I suppose, on the outskirts of Santo Domingo. We could be in the other city, Santiago de los Caballeros, but for now I'm happy with the guess. Doesn't look like anyone else has got the island. Oh, perhaps not. And we are actually quite a long way away, so it must be Guatemala. Okay, we're back in the running. And it was indeed Guatemala, which was the first country I thought of and ruled out. But anyway, good thing we changed up at the last moment there. That's been a theme of this game so far. Changing up from South Africa to Brazil, changing up from Dominican Republic to Guatemala. Let's see what we've got next. The sun fairly firmly on the equator, I would say, so that's not going to help us. But I think we could well be in South America again. Looking rather dry and hot. Yeah, the main idea that I have here is northern Colombia, but I could also see this being Ecuador. I'm going to put my first thought in, and then we'll see where we stand. Somewhere not too far from Cartagena, perhaps. Oh, and this is the last round of the game, by the way. It was such a quick one, I barely noticed it passing. And so far we've got by far the best guess, and we'll just see if Skolas is able to find where we are with his one remaining guess. Nope, he went for down in the tri-point around Bolivia, Chile and Peru, and we were indeed in northern Colombia. So not quite the right part of that region, but at least the right region. And it's a good start to our play session today. I think what I'm going to do now that I've got myself a bit warmed up is play another game, but this time I will not be panning or zooming in the coverage for my first guess. I'm going to play some NMPZ. If necessary, I will then allow myself to pan and zoom in order to put my second and third guesses in, but we'll see how far that takes us. Okay, here we go. Our next game, I'm going to have to remember not to pan around. Let's play some NMPZ. The Saipan Ocean View Hotel. Driving on the right-hand side of the road here. Saipan. Should I know where that is? It feels as though we're on an island here. And I'm almost thinking about Hawaii here. But I think we could also be in the Caribbean somewhere. It's quite a tricky one to get started with. I'm going to go with my very first thought of Hawaii, and then we'll pan around and see if we can find any more clues. And we'll just go in Honolulu, basically. Okay, looking like it might well be correct. Yeah. Let's take a further look around. Yeah, looking rather American. I think we might not have the right island, necessarily. But there's some American road infrastructure there. And it was, in fact, Guam. No, the Northern Mariana Islands. Guam a little bit further south. But yeah, we were in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so not quite the wrong idea. Got the idea that it was an island. And this is looking like it could be North America, certainly with this style of road sign here. The shadow of the tree is being cast from over there, so that doesn't really help us in terms of direction of the sun. Looking a little bit further north, I suppose. So I'm going to maybe... Yeah, we're on a grid as well. So I'm thinking about this kind of region. Whether we're in the US or Canada is another matter, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking about this kind of area. Let's put something in and try it out. Okay, not terrible. We'll now allow ourselves to pan around. And actually starting to look a little bit further south, I would say. Maybe it is the US. But I don't think we'll be changing up our guess at this moment. And it was indeed Canada. And interestingly, I'm the only person who guessed in Canada, although a lot of these guesses are much closer. And we were in Ontario there, not too far outside of Toronto. Here we have Europe. The roads set out for cyclists, definitely making me think of the lowlands. But actually there's something a little bit kind of further north about this, so I'm definitely thinking of Denmark. And I'm going to put us on the Jutland Peninsula. Basically more or less in the middle. Let's see how we fare. Okay, so we're quite a long way away here. Let's now start to pan around and see what we can find. Thinking more of Germany now, as a matter of fact, but the copyright doesn't quite back that up. Could we be in the lowlands after all? Even France, actually. Yeah, with all that in mind, I'm going to kind of put us... I'm going to put us in southern Belgium, I think. Not really improving our position on the leaderboard much. It was Belgium, so that's a good start at least. And we were to the east of Brussels there. Ooh, just outside of Hoegaarden. I imagine that's where the Belgian beer comes from, the wheat beer. Europe again. Some kind of monument here. Concrete pole, but a rather nondescript one. That slight green tinge to the house over there definitely makes me think of the east, places like Serbia and Romania. Yeah, I think I quite like Romania for this one. But it looks relatively flat, so it'll keep us away from the Carpathians. Maybe closer to Hungary. Let's try it. And with that in mind, we can now start to pan around. We've got wooden architecture here, which is inching me a lot further north now I've seen it. I'd be thinking of the Baltics here. And yeah, I think I'll put us in Latvia. A better guess. Yeah, the wooden panels on the buildings, very typical of the Baltics, and we were actually just over the border into Lithuania there. A few more guesses, quite a lot further south. And a perplexing round here. I can't immediately identify the continent, but I think it must be Europe, with the red tiled roofs here. We have got Cyrillic on the bus stop there, so with a sort of a southern European looking feel, quite dry and hot, and Cyrillic, we're either in Serbia or Bulgaria, and I'm thinking more at the moment of Bulgaria. It could even be North Macedonia for that matter. So given that, I'm going to put us basically on the tri-point, around the tri-point between the three countries. Not a fantastic guess. Let's take a look around and see if we can refine it. Very mountainous. Let's go further, I'd say, into North Macedonia. Better. We're not doing too badly, NMPZ, but it does seem as though in order to really clinch the victory, we have to start moving around to gain a few more clues. See, I thought that was a rather flat landscape, but as soon as I saw the mountains, I was confident of North Macedonia. And we look to be in North America, in somewhere fairly northern. So I think Canada or even Alaska are possible here. But on the whole, more British Columbia, quite far north. Yeah. Let's see where the highway is. Is there a highway up here? Yes, there is, this road here. So we'll kind of put ourselves around these settlements here, I suppose, in British Columbia. And it's the best guess so far. Let's pan around for any further clues. Yeah, I could even see this being Alaska. Doesn't look as though we need to change up our guess at the moment. Latitude-wise, sort of reminding me of Norway, which would put us, would put us further north in Alaska. Let's see where we were. Yeah, we were in Canada, just even further north than that. Not too far from Bob Quinn Lake. Bob Quinn, if you're watching, well done. Back in Europe, I would say, and often this raised pedestrian crossing can be seen in Belgium or the Netherlands. Of the two, it could be either, but I'm thinking more of Belgium at the moment. We don't have anything that's too typically Dutch here. So let's go for Belgium and yeah, maybe somewhere a bit closer to Antwerp. Let's try it. Now we'll move around. Bell property. I think I could be completely wrong here. Starting to think, because there's so much English around, of Australia for that matter. Have we got time to get it in? Let's get a guess in quick. Melbourne would have been a better guess, I think. Oh, and it was Sydney. And I didn't even realise that that was the final round, but yeah, we changed up at the very last moment, just in time there. So that was a lucky escape. Our opponent guesses in Darwin. I thought it didn't look quite tropical enough to be that far north in Australia. Funny to have mixed up Belgium and Australia, but those are the perils of NMPZ, and I think what we'll do is just one more game with those limitations, and we'll see how we do. We've got a full cohort of 10 players here. This is going to be the last Battle Royale of the video. Very much looking like North America here. Whether Canada or the US is difficult to determine. With the wooden panels on the buildings, I'm thinking more of Canada. So I'm maybe going to put us in this area, kind of between Ottawa and Toronto. Okay, not a terrible guess by any means. Let's pan around and see if there are any more clues. Yeah, I think Canada makes the most sense here. I don't see any French, so it's unlikely to be Quebec. Yeah, don't think I'm going to revise my guess for the time being. And it was actually the US in Pennsylvania. In the right sort of region, I suppose. At least we recognise that it was the East Coast. These trees here definitely remind me of South Africa or even Botswana. The red soil, lots of rubbish around, I think, or maybe not. Yeah, there is some. So I'm thinking about South Africa, I would say here. And I'm going to kind of put us between Johannesburg and Gaborone, the Botswanan capital. Best guess so far. Let's now pan around. We've got the sun firmly in the north, confirming southern hemisphere. Could this be Botswana, though? A tricky round. Let's find out. Yeah, we were in Botswana, just outside of the capital there. And looks like everyone was clustered around this area in South Africa, no one quite wanting to inch over the border into Botswana. The sign here with the red outline definitely reminds me of Denmark, and the landscape here, gently rolling, reminds me of Denmark also, so I think we'll put our guess in. And we'll maybe go not too far into the Jutland. Okay, not a terrible guess. Let's pan around and see what we can find. Cycle infrastructure here. What does this say? Yes. Oud-Beijerland. Is this actually maybe the lowlands here? Yeah, I think we might even be in Belgium and the Netherlands here. Yeah, well, didn't quite have time to change it up, but we were south of Rotterdam there, in the Netherlands. And it was a little bit hillier than I would have expected to see in that part of Western Europe. This could only be India. We can tell from the striped curb here, and also from the so-called crap cam coverage. But we do seem to have a divided highway here, and in which case, are we driving on the right-hand side, or are these two separate roads? Well, I'm going to put India in because I was fairly confident that was where we were, and we won't go too far outside of the capital. Now let's move around and see what else we can find. Yeah, it's just a slip road. We are indeed driving on the left, and in fact, is that even another slip road there, or is that the other part of the divided highway? There's always this kind of lovely reddish tinge to the coverage in India. I don't know if that's something to do with the camera, and we were in New Delhi, or whether it is something to do with the quality of the light there. everyone going in India apart from one lonely soul in Nepal. And here we are in Europe. I'm supposed to be playing NMPZ. I do apologise, I'll stop panning around. I don't think that's given us too much more of a clue than we could already see. And the architecture looking rather rich here. This is a very nicely proportioned building, and I really like the rounded corner. I was thinking about Germany, but the copyright is 2022, so for that reason I think Austria is making a lot of sense. A German adjacent country. And yeah, I'll maybe put us in Linz, not too far from Germany. And let's now truly pan around and see what we can find. Can we confirm the country here? Could actually be Switzerland. And it was actually Salzburg. We were in the right country there. Salzburg also came up in one of our previous Battle Royale videos. And I didn't recognise it then either. Okay, I think we're in Tunisia here. We've got the alternating yellow and black on the curb. We've got Arabic language and a relatively prosperous looking city, if not exactly affluent. And I imagine when we pan around we're going to be able to see the Mazda, the follow car. So I'm going to put us in Tunis here, not too far from the centre, and it's a long way away. Alright, let's take a proper look around here. Could this rather be Amman, I wonder? Are we in Jordan, being 2,000 kilometres away? Yeah, I think that is maybe making sense. So let's put it in. Aha, that's better. That's where we belong, at the top of the leaderboard. I wonder what the tell was for Jordan over Tunisia. One guess in Afghanistan, which is not a country that appears in Geoguessr. And yeah, we were in that northwestern part of the city there. Okay, a very flat, dry landscape, white road lines. My first thought was Chile, and the sun does look like it's in the north, so everything's adding up for that so far. The white road lines. Yeah, I think we'll go in northern Chile, and we're on an east to west road here. Do we have anything like that up here? I mean, it could be this, but I get the impression that the road is probably bending, not too far away. Let's put it in. Alright, and now we'll pan around. Yeah, big mountains to our north. So where might that be? I suppose we could be more even up here. In the mountains over here. Doesn't look as though we need to revise our guess just at the moment, but yeah, I'd be thinking about this kind of area. Closer to Bolivia. Oh no, very good. Yeah, we were in Calama. And pretty much the right latitude there, in the right country, so I'm very happy with that guess. And that was an NMPZ guess, no less. Here we are back in Europe, and what an astonishing building. You know, I don't like modern constructions in general, but that, with all the trees on it, is really quite special. We'll have to make a note of this and see if it's worth exploring. Porta Nuova. Language? Is that Italian, Spanish, Portuguese? Nuova. I think that would be Italian, wouldn't it? So let's put ourselves in northern Italy, maybe in Milan, I suppose. Certainly looks like it could be correct. Yeah, the language is certainly Italian. Yeah, some very impressive modern architecture here. And I have to say I'm really smitten with that building with all the trees on it. Piazza Gai Aulenti. Yeah, we'll maybe come and take a... I think we're going to have to go and look at Milan at some point in Street Estate. one of the Italian cities that I haven't visited, in person or on YouTube yet. And we're here in the suburbs of North America for our final round. And I think it's either going to be northern US or Canada. Difficult to say where. The cracked road definitely makes me think of colder temperatures, so I'm going to go for Canada here. And yeah, I may be thinking about kind of Toronto suburbs, somewhere around there. Let's try it out. Okay, we're a fairly long way away. Are there any other clues that we can get here? Canada, I think, is correct, going by the architecture. Being that far away, let's maybe move ourselves out east, even as far out as New Brunswick. I think we've had it. Oh, and it was Edmonton in Alberta. We were way out west. Well, it's a shame not to have ended the video on a high with a victory, but at least I can say that we guessed in the correct country, which is more than can be said for our opponent. Anyway, I'm going to wipe that smug look off of my face and tell you thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video with me. Since you've made it this far, why not subscribe? And do take a look at my first channel, where you can hear all of my original music without me talking over the top of it.